Hello, hope you are all doing well and you received a copy of our school reentry plan. I'd like to right now take you on a tour of that plan, going over some of the highlights that are included in it. It was posted on our school website. You can see it here. I just clicked on this link, which takes you to a different version of it, but it's the same content. It just has a couple more pictures. Our school reentry committee has been working really hard, teachers, parents, board members, coming up with a plan. At this point in time, we would prefer to have a school-wide full distance learning model to start with, and then transition into a hybrid model. At this point, the governor has not made an executive order to have schools be 100% distance learning. So we are moving ahead with our two options for parents and guardians. We have our hybrid model, which is a combination of distance learning and in school, and then the full distance learning model, which would be students working at home fully remotely. And we'll go over that in a second. All of our current decisions are being guided by the NJDOE and their Road Back Restart Recovery Plan for Education, along with CDC and the survey results from our parents and staff. Our reentry plan is flexible and subject to change, pending the health pandemic, state and city guidelines, and things like that. Our first priority is health and wellness. All students and staff, when on site, are going to be required to wear face coverings. We will be providing masks, washable masks, for students to use and ask you to make sure that they are washed daily. And children come to school, arrive wearing masks. In addition, we will be doing social distancing. So we'll be spaced apart at least 6 feet. So in the classrooms, in the hallways, students will be socially distanced, or we call it dolphin distancing because a dolphin is 6 feet. So we are planning on having that. In addition, we are going to be giving every student a reusable water bottle. Our water fountains are going to be closed. They'll only be open the refilling stations. Hopefully they fill it up at home. They won't even need to use that, but that will be available. We are going to have an A-B schedule, and the reason we're doing that is to allow us to have 50%, no more than 50% of our students in the building. So a typical class has 22 students, so 11 students would be on site in the building, and 11 would be working distance learning from home, syncing up with what's happening in the classroom. So there'd be some synchronous, some asynchronous work. So what's happening in the classroom, what's happening at home is going to be comparable. We are planning for daily temperature readings and health screenings for students and staff. And all school facilities, including the bathrooms, will be deep cleaned frequently, and safety guidelines are going to be vigorously enforced. As you know, GBCS does not offer transportation. The sending district where you live does that. And currently New Brunswick has been offering transportation, and they do have a plan, which I've put here, to require social distancing happening in the busing. Meals. So GBCS, all summer we've been offering meals, and we will continue to do that whether we are doing full distance learning or a hybrid model. We will have food. Currently, we've been doing it twice a week. We have a new food vendor, which is going to allow us to distribute food once a week. So when we are fully remote, we will be giving out food on Wednesdays. And then once we have the hybrid model open and running, we will be giving food out to the kids on the day they're in school. So when we are in phase 1B, we'll have A group on Mondays and B group on Tuesdays. So at dismissal, those students will get their food for the week. They'll get breakfast and lunch for the week. We will not be having lunch on site at this point. We're going to be monitoring the pandemic and really looking to see when New Jersey has in-restaurant dining up and running without any concerns about increases in infections during that time. So we're going to continue. We'll have an early dismissal schedule, but it'll be at 12:05. So students will take lunches and go with them. For students who families have selected the full distance learning model, you will be able to pick up on Wednesdays, similar to how we have been doing it since March. So with a hybrid model, students will be in school at least 1 day a week. Students qualifying for free reduced lunch will have food available to them as normal. Paid lunch students may also order lunch if they are interested in that as well. All of these meals will be grab and go, to take home, to eat at home. Teaching and learning. So GBCS is dedicated to the students of our community and ensuring a meaningful learning experience. And we've planned a multi-tiered model that provides opportunities for distance learning and in-school learning, and it'll be phased in. Models vary by grade level and based on student and program needs. We, in addition, are increasing our outdoor learning environments. So that's an option. Outdoor learning spaces are also an option. We have a model that takes into account percentages of time students will be in school for instruction and the percentage of students who will, percentage of time in school and percentage of students. So I mentioned before the AB model. So the AB model means no more than 50% of students will be in the building. So if you round up, we have 400 students, so no more than 200 students will be in the building, and that's percentage of students. When we move into phase 3, that changes slightly, and we'll go into that in a little bit. And percentage of time also changes as we go through the phases. Decisions and the phases allow for flexibility and are guided by the current pandemic conditions. And we're going to cautiously move through them with input from families and staff when deciding to increase time in school, moving from phase 2 to 3 and phase 3 to 4. So phase 1 is students 1 day a week. Phase 2 is students 2 days a week. Once again at 50% capacity. Phase 3 is when we will be offering for grades kindergarten through 3rd grade on-site 4 days a week. Still 50% in a room, still no more than 11 kids in a room, but using multiple rooms in the building, we're able to do that for grades K to 3. And phase 4 is when we're back 5 days a week for a half day and then moving into the full day model. Unless the governor gives an executive order for schools to begin with full distance learning, parents will be required to choose if you want the full distance learning model or the hybrid model. If you choose the full distance learning, that will last until the end of the first trimester, in the beginning of December, or until we transition to phase 2. So if we move to phase 2 in November, then you'll have an opportunity to change the learning model that you selected at that point. So whichever comes first, the first trimester or changing phases. Full distance learning model, the school-wide version of that is pending the governor making that executive order. That's what we prefer, but we're waiting for him to make that call. We have identified many elements of effective distance learning. We've learned a lot since March, and we want to make sure that we are applying what we have learned. The expectations and rigor of classes and assignments will reflect a traditional GBCS school program. There'll be daily agendas for the K to 8 distance learning. All grades may include Zoom mini lessons, student-centered learning, small group Zoom discussions, Zoom partner work, projects, and independent work. We're going to create a balance of work to be done online and offline, synchronously and asynchronously. Really trying to strike a balance between screen time, and book, paper, manipulative time. Distance learning will include mandatory synchronous instruction, depending on the phase, Monday through Friday, following a regular school day schedule. Students are expected to log into all classes in order for instruction and learning to continue. Expectations will vary by grade level. The full distance learning by parent guardian choice is the same as the school-wide one. It's just decided by the parent instead of the governor. The hybrid model in school and distance learning that has in school and also distance at home. 50% of a class will work in school and 50% at home, following the AB schedule that I mentioned before. Wednesdays, so will always be distance learning for all while we are in phases 1 through 4. Students in school will participate in the classroom while distance learning students observe the teacher and or content. We're looking to set up a video camera to do that and participate from home. The hybrid model is very similar to the distance learning model, just eliminating the need to connect with a teacher through Zoom on in-school days, and it requires social distancing. And we have more details in the plan. Percentage of time, increasing from phases 1 to 4. So you're doing distance learning from 5 days to 4 days to 3 days and so on. Percentage of students, like I mentioned, also has no more than 50% of the kids in the building at one time. And as we go into phase 3, we would have 100% of K to 3 potentially, if the parents elected for that, and remaining 50% for grades 4 to 8. Students will be separated into group 1 and group 2 in order to create student cohorts. We will sync up siblings unless parents say otherwise. This chart breaks down the different learning models, the full distance, the hybrid, just spells it out for you in case there's any confusion with that. We talk also in our plan about parent and guardian support at home. As you guys know, you were incredible partners in the spring, not only helping with academic, but also communicating with us about social, emotional, and wellness. And we look forward to that continued partnership, whether we're distance or on-site. If you pick the hybrid model, we do ask you to have your child practice wearing their face mask or face covering, gradually increasing the periods of time until they reach 4 hours. So we'll start off the school year in school from staggered arrival starting at 7:45, going till 12:05. The more comfortable students are wearing their masks at home, the easier it's going to be for them to do so in school. While at home, please also continue to practice hygiene, health and hygiene practices, temperature taking, frequent hand washing, using hand sanitizers when soap and water are not available, and washing face coverings after each use. Please make sure that you have more than one working thermometer in your home, as we are going to ask you to monitor that daily as part of a daily health screening. Also, we recognize that living during a global pandemic can be stressful and traumatic. We encourage you to talk with your children and help process these emotions and come up with healthy strategies. And please, if that's something you're struggling with, reach out to us for support. We would like to be a resource for you. The academic program in September will be more rigorous than it was in the spring. Please talk to your child about that, setting up expectations and routines to help their success. We provided here an outline for a preliminary school schedule, talking about what's included, what the day looks like. If we start fully remote, the day would go till 1:30. If we start with a hybrid model, it will go till 12:05. That's taken into account lunch. We're not going to be serving lunch and breakfast on site until it's more established in New Jersey that in restaurant eat and dining is established, and then we will transition into that model. So, but if we're fully distanced as a whole school, the program will be till 1:30. If we're hybrid in any way, for the kids who are at home and the kids are on site, it'll be until 12:05. Grab and go meals will be available. The outline of the day, starting time, fully remote, full distance learning is 8 a.m. start, 1:35 end. And for phase 1B, staggered start time at 7:45, starting all academic work by 8 and ending at 12:05. So we'll have some more information about those staggered times as we get closer to that. Specials will be happening daily, but they are abbreviated schedules, so they'll be 35 minutes. And we've included a sample schedule for phase 1A. That's if the governor says we're fully remote, full distance learning. And you can see what these schedules look like with frequent breaks built in into the classes. We know that the students are going to be seated, 6 feet apart from everybody in the room. They won't be rotating classes. The teachers will be moving if that's necessary, but students will be staying. We'll be minimizing transitions. So we have built in just like breaks. So like for every, full class period, that's a 55-minute class period, there'll be like a 15-minute recess break. And so you can see that in this schedule that we've created here. And if we start with phase 1B, which is the hybrid model, then we will have the 7:45 staggered arrival. And then as you can see here, it ends at 12:05. We submitted a very comprehensive restart and recovery plan, which is linked to this document. It's over 100 pages to the NJDOE, and we did receive approval that our plan meets their standards and we can proceed using it. The document that you are reading and we're reviewing right now is the summary of that plan. Our reentry committee continues to work diligently on further developing the details of our plan and our return. Our priority is that everything is safe and that we are prepared. Next week, we will release a new mandatory survey, and it's essential that you complete it to allow us to continue our planning. And that's where you're going to be asked to pick your learning model. If you prefer full distance learning with your child working from home, or if you prefer the hybrid model with your child on site at GBCS, sometimes starting off with 1 day a week for phase 1B, 2 days a week for phase 2, and moving forward. So we're going to ask you to pick between those. If you pick the full distance learning, we're going to continue that until we switch phases, until we go to phase 2 or the end of the first trimester, whichever comes first. If you pick the hybrid model and you change your mind, just reach out to us. We'll work with you on that. We're not going to make somebody continue in the model if they're not comfortable with their child on site. Our entire school, our staff, our custodians, our administration, board members continue to do everything possible to ensure that we're ready for the upcoming school year by providing a safe and nurturing learning environment for all of our students. We're equally focused on the health and safety and also having a dynamic, comprehensive program to keep students engaged and to keep them continued on their learning path. So thank you for your partnership. It is greatly appreciated. And please look out for the survey that will be coming soon. Thank you.